The Chain Rule by Kira Lamro, a lesson for calculus students. So the chain rule says d over dx f of g of x is equal to f prime, or derivative of g of x, multiplied by g prime of x. You'll also see that this f prime of g of x can also be written as f prime of u. I have also seen it written as f prime of SpongeBob. So really what you put here isn't crucial. I personally like to write u because I'm lazy and it's super easy to write, but you can put whatever you want there. As long as you realize that whatever you put right here is the same as this g of x. So this wonderful chain rule is super helpful when it comes to problems that look something like this. So if you have y is equal to 2x plus 5 to the power of 4, we already know how to find 2x plus 5. But the chain rule comes in handy when all of that is put to the power of something. In this case, it's 4. So in a given equation, like we have here, find f derivative of x if f of x is equal to the square root of x squared plus 1. We will use the chain rule here. So I've written the chain rule up in the top right corner just for ease. So when I do this, I like to write f prime of x, or f derivative of x, is equal to the square root of x squared plus 1. So we normally would just go on with this problem, but because it's the chain rule, we take this in the middle and we'll change it to u. And then we'll have to multiply over here g of x squared plus 1. So we're going to have to find the derivative of that. So here, u is to the power of 1/2. And then if we find the derivative of that, because the square root of u is equal to u to the power of 1/2. So we'll bring that 1/2 in front of u, and then it's 1/2 minus 1, so that it's going to be negative 1/2. And then here, we multiply by we're going to do the derivative of this, so that's going to be 2x. That's all it is. That's just 2x, because the 1 is canceled. Not canceled, it just goes away because of derivatives. So at this point, we are going to substitute that u back in with that x squared plus 1. So that is going to equal 1/2 times x squared plus 1 to the power of negative 1/2, which is the equivalent of a square root. So I will just write that as 1/2 times the square root of x squared plus 1 multiplied by 2x, which will give us 2x over 2 square root of x squared plus 1. These 2's will cancel, giving us the final answer of x over the square root of x squared plus 1. So in this equation, this is our final answer. That is f derivative of x. So this equation is f of x equals sine of cosine of tangent x. So here we need to apply the chain rule, but the crazy thing is we need to use it twice. So we'll start off by f prime of x equals sine of cosine of tangent, oops, it's supposed to be tangent x, and we're trying to find the derivative of that. So we know what the derivative of sine is, and that is cosine. And all this mumbo jumbo right here, we're just going to call that u for right now. But because we wrote this u here, we need to multiply it by the derivative of u. And in this case, that derivative of u is going to be the derivative of cosine of tangent x. And so this tangent x, we're going to call it w because it is different than the cosine tangent x, but it's not super, we just don't need to know right this very second. So then that is going to have us with cosine u multiplied by, and the derivative of cosine is negative sine of w, and we'll actually write these in red as well. So a sine of w, but we need to find the derivative of that w, so we need to multiply it by that. And so we know that is tangent x. I'm trying to find the derivative of it. And so that'll have us with cosine u multiplied by negative sine of w multiplied by secant squared x, which is the derivative of tangent. So here comes the fun part. We're going to replace the u and w with their respective color equation, I guess. So it's going to have us with cosine of tangent x multiplied by negative sine of cosine, of tangent x multiplied by secant squared x. So here we can do a little bit of simplifying, but not much. And our final answer will be negative cosine of tangent x sine tangent x secant squared x. So that is going to be your final answer. How about let's write f prime of x out here in front. And so this is going to be your final answer for this equation. I know it's long, but that is how you would apply the chain rule to this problem. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it helped a little bit, and good luck in calculus.